Welcome to What's Your Story, where we, Jamie Marco,
and Stan Brown,
delve into the extraordinary lives of everyday people.
Listen in as we uncover the unique tales that shape who we are,
one story at a time.
Hey, let's get ready to explore today's story.
Let's do it. Hey, Dad.
Hello.
You look super festive today.
Well, I'm just not wearing pants, that's all.
Is that a pickleball hat you have on?
Absolutely, it is. It says play for life. It absolutely is. Pickleball is taking the entire country by storm.
Well, I did just hear, I think from my sister, that they said that people that play paddle sports, it extends your life by, what did she say, like 75% or something like that? Or what did she say?
I thought it was a quantitative 9 years.
Oh, maybe 9 years. Okay. I mean, I think the interesting thing is that, like, we always joke that, 76% of statistics are made up.
Well, four out of three people have problems with math.
But then the other thing is that, oh yeah, I like that. 4 to 3 people, that's good too.
You almost lost
But
it.
I think that whoever said that paddle sports, if they specifically said, pickleball or tennis, they're obviously probably a manufacturer of like something that goes with that sport.
Well, actually, it was accompanied by a video. I saw the statement was made in the emergency room.
What?
The guy who had an injury, he walked by, ran backwards to get the ball, fell down,
Right.
waiting for the surgeon to come and take care of his hip, and he was quoted saying, "It extends my life." Didn't say
Oh, got
quality, not
it.
quality of life, but just life itself. There's always an inherent risk, but I think the benefit far outweighs the risk if one behaves oneself and acts prudently, as we say.
How often do you play pickleball these days now?
About twice a week. Mom plays almost about 6 days a week.
Well, and you guys got us playing in it in COVID, I think is when we started, right?
Well, the unique thing, I think, part of the appeal, it's cross-cultural, age as well. I mean, little kids enjoy it. Everybody. I mean, the most famous player in the world is a 17-year-old girl. Her mother asked her to stand in for her once. She played so well. They played as teams, and I think she's making like a $3 million a year.
That's amazing. And she's 17, you said, or 16?
Mm-hmm. That was your
I
17, but
mean, I remember when I was little, you gave us tennis lessons and we had to go to the old Bath and Racket. I went with, my older sister, and we went there and I hated playing tennis. And I have continued to hate playing tennis. No offense to any tennis players, but it was
it
just never
wasn't for you.
felt, what's that?
It just wasn't for you.
Yeah, it was just like never like my sport. Like I never liked it, but I love playing pickleball. Like I find it to be so much fun. And just like it's just you meet new people and you're always playing with different people. And if you go play by yourself, like even if like David and I, my husband and I go to a court, we're always mixing it up and playing with new
Sure.
people. And it's just a social sport. It's active. I feel like I burn a lot of calories and I'm having fun at the same time.
Well, the life rule is try something, and you don't like it, don't do it. Try something else. You'll find something you're always good at the things you enjoy doing.
Well, yeah. Well, they say like time flies when you're having fun kind of a thing.
You could say that, yeah. I think you did say that.
I did say that. So today we're going to speak to somebody who is, like been doing a couple different things, and I'm not really sure which angle he's going to take. But his story is unique and different, and we crossed paths probably now, gosh, like 20 years ago, I think, possibly.
You've been in touch
No,
since
maybe
then?
not that long ago. I would say, so no, that's a lie. Let's see, I was probably like 31, like 15 years ago. Yeah, like 15 years
And
ago.
you've been in touch since then?
Through social media, we connect. That's why I like social media. We've seen things and he comments and stuff, and we say hi. And then we had a chance to catch up recently via FaceTime and just talk. And I just think he's fascinating. I think that his life story and what he's done, and he's kind of works in the same space I do, but does more coaching pieces. And I think it's gonna be fascinating. So, are you ready
Is
to
he in
welcome him?
is he in our green room yet?
He is. He is. Are you ready to welcome him in?
Yes, tell him to stay away from the donuts.
Okay, I'll tell him. Here we go. Here we go.
Calling anyone named Dennis.
I
Hello,
think today,
Dennis.
like we're having so many technical issues today. Let's see, we're having lots of technical issues on both ends. You were having technical issues today, Dad, as well
I
too.
had one of those days. It starts out well and gets crazy busy. Oh, he's
I
wearing a
know.
suit and a tie for us?
You're so busy, Dad.
Dennis, you look fabulous.
I know, right? Isn't he like such a snazzy dresser? You guys, listener, you can't see this, but we're waiting for him to join our Zoom. And as we wait, oh, look
Oh,
at
he's here.
person. Like, look at that. He's so cute. Listener, you can't see it, but he's got a black coat on and a white shirt on. And my dad's in a Hawaiian shirt and a pickleball hat. I'm in my love sweatshirt. And Dennis, you're upping the game with your,
Nobody killed the tie. Thanks for killing the tie, Dennis.
you're
That's good.
muted though. You're muted. So we have to get you off mute so we can hear your fabulous voice and say hello.
Give him a John Wayne voice. Sounds like John Wayne. I like a
No,
toupee. He's
it's
got
still
two in.
muted. We're muted in both locations, but it's okay. Don't worry. We're having serious technical issues today with every
Hey,
man.
the old guy made it on. It's a good
No,
visual.
not yet. Can't hear you yet. Both,
Nada, nada.
both. No, they both say muted. We still can't hear you, but
If
it's
he had a
okay.
brother named Ver, his name would be Ver Klempt.
We're still muted, so we can't hear you, but it's okay. We'll get there soon when we hear
Does he
you.
know sign
Let
language?
you know. Dad, it's so funny because like the technology, I mean, I remember I was in an airplane recently.
Hey, walk him through it. The guy's panicking. Walk him through it.
No, he's fine. He just has to hit unmute. It's not for it's just
Oh,
the technology is kind of being crazy today. Just tap the unmute button, the microphone on the bottom of your screen. We'll get there. Do you see the microphone on the screen and just hit the unmute?
it's usually bottom left, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll get there. You can actually dial in from a phone too if you want to. I can get you that in the chat so you can see
He
that.
can do it. He can do it. He can do it.
Let's see. Let me see if I can figure out what that audio is. Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh,
Oh,
perfect.
man, we got it. Woohoo!
What an intro.
Get off this phone.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can pick up the phone and we got you right on the computer.
Leave.
Amazing. Hey, it's Monday or Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, whatever day of the week
Anything
it
that can
is.
go wrong goes wrong.
No, you're fine. Listen, it's not the first time. My dad had some technical issues together today as well too. So it just goes back to like, we're an unfiltered podcast and it's all about real life. And people, I think like that's one of the things is that like I was having a conversation this morning about everybody feels like overwhelmed. I'm like, yeah, because like we're so connected, yet at the same time, so disconnected. Like right now I've got 5 screens going. I mean, I'm not looking at them. They're shut
Right.
down, but I've got 5 screens here, your screen here, this here, my watch that, it's like,
That's terrible. Terrible.
yes. So hi, Dennis. Good to see you.
And it's telling me now my internet connection is unstable.
Well, hopefully you're stable and you're not unstable.
It depends on who you talk to, Jamie.
Well, Dennis, meet my dad, Stan.
Hey, Dennis, how are you?
Dennis.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Stan. How are you?
Pleasure.
So,
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you both for inviting me on this thing. And I'm sorry about all of the hiccups, man.
No, it's
You're
not our
healed.
fault,
You're
Bertie, but
healed.
don't worry. Don't worry about it. And so we're actually in Florida, as you know, we're like freezing today. It was 47 degrees when we woke up this morning. How are you? Look like nice and toasty and warm wherever you are.
I am toasty and warm in my office. However, it is snow outside.
Oh,
And the temperature here in St. Louis is 28 degrees.
Oh,
my
boy.
God. We release these a few months later. So hopefully by the time that your episode releases, it's nice and warm and you're sitting on a beach with a nice cocktail of your choice.
I wish.
So where do we, first of all, let's get this out of the way, not out of the way, but my first question is today, knowing, that it's, a new day, what would you say is your number if we were going to give you a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being it's the best day you've ever had in your life. You don't have a worry in the world. To a 1 being that you probably should crawl back in bed and not be peopling, coaching, or speaking to any other humans today. What's your number?
Well, it started off easily by an 8 or 9.
Mhm.
And now that we've had these technical issues, I'm gonna give it maybe a strong 6.5, 7.
Oh,
Just-
shake it off, Dennis. Don't worry about the technical issues. We don't care. Shake it off. Shake it off. No worry about it. That's a significant drop. No, don't worry about it.
No, I get that. It's so good to see your face. You're doing amazing things.
Thank you.
really
But
stand
it's
up.
about you today, not about me.
Well, that's a big switch up for me, to be honest. It's I expect it to be more about the other person than I do about me most of the time.
Well, think of yourself as the other person.
Well, that was easy.
Well, and I think that's one of the things is that like when I think about humility, and I think about people who are incredibly humble and just don't realize how amazing they are and the impact that they have in the world. You're one of those people. We met about 15, 16 years ago for the first time. And I just think that that is one of your greatest qualities amongst many others, that you really don't realize how amazing it is and what you've done. And that's why I wanted to have you as a guest to talk through like how you got to where you are today, but also kind of hear your story because I think it's incredible.
Let's jump in.
I appreciate that. Wow. That's quite a buildup. I usually have only two words when somebody builds me up that highly,
Yeah.
and those are please continue. No.
And there went that humility I was talking about out the
Yes,
door.
exactly, exactly. Modest,
That's the thing
modest
is
is
that,
always
well,
modest
if
is
you, sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I listened. I actually listened and watched on YouTube your interview with Russell,
Yep.
the
Hmm.
martial art guy,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So, and as you probably know, or maybe not, maybe you don't, that I've always had a passionate interest in martial arts since I
Mm.
was 14. So was a big game changer for me.
Hmm.
Did you pursue that passion at any time?
I've I've continued to pursue it since I was 14, Stan.
Mhm.
So check this out. I am working, well, right now I'm working on year 10 with a karate sensei who lives here in Wildwood, which is close to my home in Chesterfield. And I've been with her 10, probably 10, almost 11 years. And it's all adults. There's no children in that class. And then before that, I actually studied Taekwondo with a Korean grandmaster who I met um, when my son turned 7. And I
Mm.
wanted to get him involved in the martial arts, but I wanted him to understand the values that went with that. So,
Sure.
for example, in and Jamie, I know you've taken Taekwondo before, right? Okay.
Yes.
And I'm going to guess, Stan, you've had a little bit of experience
I've
in
done
martial arts.
karate, yes, yes.
Okay.
And
So
Aikido I love.
Aikido, nice. Takes a long time to really get good at that.
Mm.
A long time to get really good where it's practical or even
The peaceful martial art.
yeah. But Taekwondo, I was with this grandmaster for the last 35 years.
Oof.
So that's a big time, right? Um, and um, he's been pretty he's been pretty instrumental. But I kind of went back to my roots when I studied Okinawan Shorin-ryu karate back in the yeah, I expect I'm really going to age myself here. In the 60s, I studied Okinawan Shorin-ryu karate um, with a guy named Bob Yarnell, who was taught by a guy named Jim Wax, who was the first Caucasian to earn a black belt
Mm.
from an Okinawan sensei, um, and actually an Okinawan master, guy named Shoshin Nagamine. So he had it was incredible. And the woman that I'm studying with right now was just promoted to ninth dan
Mm.
uh, in Okinawan Shorin Karate. And she just spent 5 weeks in Okinawa, all with probably 5, 6 training with 5 or 6 of the masters out there. So she is by far the best technical karateka I have ever had the experience of working with.
You certainly
So,
had the best senses all throughout your journey.
We were just speaking beforehand. So my dad plays pickleball. My dad, and I don't want to speak for your dad, but like growing up, did yoga, played a little tennis with my mom, but never other sports, right, Dad? Just yoga and tennis growing up.
I ran for a while till my hips gave out.
Oh yeah, and he runs and he cycles. And we were just with my sister who had said that she read somewhere that we don't know the exact statistic, but that by playing paddle sports, your life is elongated by like 9 years. However, knowing that, what martial arts is for your body and how it builds strength and it builds muscle and it builds, just like overall mental health, I'm curious after doing it for so many years, what have you seen have been the benefits in your life
oh
from
yeah,
doing martial arts?
yeah. Well, and I want to talk a little bit about business. And martial arts have a huge carryover for business, I think. Um, and I also, Stan, if it makes your knees feel better, I spent a lot of time in my 30s running. So in 2013, I had bilateral knee replacements,
Oh boy.
right?
At the
Same
same
time,
time? Not at the same time.
same time, yeah.
Oh,
If you're gonna go, go big, right?
oof, I'll go
If you're
home. I would have
gonna
gone home.
go. So so anyway,
Oh, I think we lost you for a
I
second.
had those done, and that's and if you remember, Jamie, in Taekwondo, it's about 70% kicking and
Oh, sure.
30% hand
Yeah.
techniques. And
Yeah.
Sure.
it's not nearly as graceful as Okinawan Shorin Karate. But I ran into a personal trainer 10 years ago, and she is today my sensei. So she has been and she would be an interesting person to interview as well, because her father, she was in the dojo since she's been 4 years old.
Hmm.
Wow.
And she is super experienced and a very technical. She does um, not just the instructions, but the nuances,
Mhm.
everything from just body shifting. And
Mhm.
obviously, I know you've talked with Russell about breathing and those things,
Mhm.
but but she encompasses all of that, including some of the mechanics. She was a personal trainer for a long time, so she understands body mechanics
Hmm.
extremely well. And
And she
um,
brought you back from recovery after your double knee replacement?
exactly. Took me.
Wow.
I actually did rehab for about a month and a half.
That's it?
And I'm sorry.
That's it? Just a month and a half? That's it? I would have thought it
Yeah,
was
I
much
was
longer. Oh,
well,
wow.
but I gravitated to Shorin Ryu, back to my roots, which I studied when I was 14, and then there was like a 17-year absence. Um, but I gravitated back to my roots because of her, and just because it was easier on my body.
Sure.
Taekwondo is very tough on your body, as you
Yeah.
can imagine. Plyometrics, and when you hit when you hit 60, it's tough to compete
Yeah.
or to be as agile or as
Resilient, sure.
Yeah.
as you used to be, right?
Well, everything
So,
in aging is that way, right?
what was that, Jamie?
Aging it hits you everywhere like that. Everything you do, I can't do what I can do today that I could do, 5
But
minutes
if we guys always if we had a colony on the moon, we'd be in fantastic shape.
ago.
Gravity's killing us. It's all gravity.
Yeah. It's so at any rate, she was instrumental, and I've been studying with her. I still practice with her at least once or twice a week.
Wow.
She very much like an Okinawan sensei. She has
Hmm.
a dojo in her home, which is hardwood deck, and it is set up to not only to help her with her. She does personal training as well, but she's extremely good. So I work out with probably 8 or 9 people on a Friday for 2 to 3 hours every single week, which is really good for me. But it's
Dennis, if we did two ventric circles, one being your work life and one being your martial arts life, how much would they eclipse? How much would overlap? More than 50%? Probably.
I think they would eclipse a lot, Stan. I wouldn't put a number on it necessarily, but it's I think again, martial arts have taught me a lot of things about goal setting,
Absolutely
moving goals, right?
sure.
Um, I I still continued with that Korean master for so long because there was a lot of variety in what he was teaching. I never got the same class twice.
That's
And
great.
I felt like I needed to give back. So I would take a class myself from him, and then I would teach a class for him. So I did that roughly for probably the last 15 years or so. Um, and he is he has a nephew here who has a dojang, which is not Japanese, it's Korean, as opposed to dojo. Dojo is Japanese, dojang or dojang is Korean, just terminology wise, a little bit different. But at any rate, I kept up with him because of the variety. And just the great amount of instruction. And I know when you talked to Russell, you were talking about sparring. And one of the things you may know or you may not know about Taekwondo is it's an Olympic sport and
Hmm.
it's full contact, but
Yeah.
it is full contact with gear. So you
Hmm.
wear head protection, mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Um,
And
uh,
now karate in competition is not contact?
Karate and competition, well, it depends on the style, Stan. It's a good question. I think you get into things like Kyokushin, which is full contact, but no padding, no padding. But it's not, you can't go for the eyes. There are certain parameters that you can't exceed.
I
Certain,
think the history of sport is phenomenal because these were sports that were developed as protection against people that had arms and warfare. And these farmers taught themselves that the body itself could be a lethal weapon if applied properly. And
correct.
the whole history, it's incredible.
So how did you, Dennis? I mean, you talked about you started this when you were 14 years old. How did you navigate doing like how did you get to doing what you're doing today as well? Like, because you said that there's like a crossover. You want to talk about business, and there's like this piece of what you learned. We talked about the metric circles, but how did you get from that path? Like,
Here
what
to
happened?
there, right? Yeah. No, great question. Um, Actually, it was interesting because of my interest in studying karate when I was 14. Um, I would go to, and it was a studio here called Judo Karate. So they would do classes for judo one night and karate the next night. Um, and I begged my mother to take me and enroll me. And she was a single mom, right? She was
Sure.
a hairdresser. I come from very humble beginnings. My dad was a beer bottler. My mom was a beautician, hairdresser, right? So it's not like I had a lot of opportunity.
Sure.
What happened though was I guess I got confident and started teaching um, in groups, and ultimately then I gravitated actually to selling memberships for the judo karate school. And lo and behold, I found that I was not bad at it. So as a result, um, I'm going to say I was probably 19, maybe 20. As a result, I decided I wanted a job. Besides, my mom would give me, she went out with different individuals dating, and they would always give me a job, but it was always ugly. It
Mm.
was always, I worked in
The
the
beginning of dirty jobs. That's where it happened right here.
yeah. So it was, I was a flyboy in for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, which was a newspaper. And if you've ever been in the press room of a newspaper, you know that the ink just hangs in the air.
Mm.
Oh.
Just and you would see guys who'd been working there for years and their pores were
Ah,
black. And we would wash all the time with I don't know if you remember, you probably do, Stan, lava soap.
oh, of course, yeah.
Lava soap is like gritty. So we would wash with that. Um,
Like
we would wash
sandpaper
with
in your
that.
face. Oh, geez.
So those were the kind of jobs that I didn't want to do. So I decided I'd try to sell, which I did with the judo karate schools. That was really the start of my sales career. And from there, I actually decided I wanted a job, and you probably remember this too, Stan. There used to be yellow pages.
Hmm.
Today we have everything in the world.
They were everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So the yellow pages, I came home in an afternoon. I was an ambitious, probably 21, 22-year-old young guy. That was way back in the day, by the way. So, so anyway, I went to the yellow pages and I looked and I found a company. It was actually a 3M business product center in downtown St. Louis. And I called and accidentally got a hold of the general manager, uh, who said, "Dude, if you're really interested, come on down and we'll talk."
Well, he didn't say dude then.
Okay.
He didn't use the word dude then.
No, he didn't go dude. He did not go dude then. He went, come on in, hang out with me. So he hired me and check this out, he hired me at $100 a week
That was good.
as this is a long time ago. He hired me as I think, not even a trainee, not even a, probation guy. Um, but he hired me and he ran a division called audiovisual, which were audiovisual products by 3M. And at the time, all the audiovisual products were overhead projectors, if you
Hmm.
remember.
Yep.
And in
Right
school, they
on them.
had
Yep.
acetate, right?
Sure.
Well, but that was the education market. So they had never broken into the commercial market at that time. So it was a perfect timing. And Jack Tipton, who was my mentor and the guy that I interviewed with, decided that I should sell commercial audiovisual products. And it was the preface, it really was the preface to PowerPoint today. So,
Wow.
and it was using visuals in business meetings, right?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Once
So
again, timing was very important.
what's that?
Timing was very important. Timing's a big thing.
Yeah, timing. Well, timing is everything I say, but also choices. Life is choices, right? We
Yeah.
make good decisions and we have not so good decisions sometimes.
You
But
really you have to listen to yourself.
yeah, and sometimes you get lucky,
Mhm.
which I've been blessed to be lucky and have some amazing mentors. But it's so anyway, that was my entree into sales. And from there, I worked, you asked about how I got from there to here, Jamie.
Hmm.
Uh, from there, I was pretty bold. So I started interviewing. I worked for the 3M Business Products Center, which was a distributor of the 3M. And from there, 3M hired me as an area rep to work with distributors throughout the US. And I would ride in the field with those salespeople and help them close major account deals. So from that point, I decided somewhere along the line that I would own a uh, time management franchise called Priority Management out of Vancouver, Columbia. So I left 3M after about 8 years, and I decided to own my own training
Big
company.
decision, man. Big decision, eh?
It was a huge decision, but it was not so bad because my father-in-law was extremely wealthy, and he offered to front the franchise cost, which at the time was, I think it was around 35, 40 grand.
Holy baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is this is probably back in 1988.
He must have liked you, Dennis.
I'm sorry?
He must have liked you.
Yeah, well, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose.
Do you run the business together with you and your wife, or was it your business solely?
It was just me.
Wow,
It
that's
was just me.
amazing.
So, and I ended up in priority management was they were 4-hour workshops, um, which would have 10 to 25 people.
That's
And
a good size, sure.
the entree, the price for that was $495 back
Per
in the,
person, per person.
but it was like, and it was very much like Gillette, where they give you the razor, but you have to buy the blades, right?
Yes. Well, there
So,
was a lot of programs like that originally, right? Different training programs where it was like, we'll give you this much, but to get more, like you would do a seminar basically, and at the seminar's free, we'll give you some tips, but at
Sure.
the seminar, we're going to sign you up for the bigger package. Is that kind of like what it was?
yes, and it was also there were supplies involved because they had a book very much. I don't know if you follow Michael Hyatt at all.
Mm-mm.
Michael Hyatt has it's what they call a full focus planner.
Okay. I probably need to. I need better time management.
Don't we all? Don't we all? So yeah, so along with the workshop, the 4-hour workshop, there were some pretty good elements to it. They gave you a system, they gave you a paper planner that was 8.5 by 11, and a 3-ring binder so that you could put papers and things in it. You could 3-hole punch it, put papers in it, and file them alphabetically. So you could, like a conversation that you and I would have, you
Yeah.
would make pencil notes in it, whether it was a meeting or a phone call or whatever, you would make pencil notes. And then you would plan your week, plan your month, and I help people. Originally, the way I pitched it was I help very successful, busy, and successful people get better organized, stay better focused, and do more of the right things. But it
Dennis,
was
did you travel a lot for that?
I beg your pardon?
Did you travel a lot for that?
I did. Although it was pretty much Midwest travel at that time, priority management, I was trying to stay pretty much local,
Sure.
but and ultimately I I taught my priority management classes at a Dale Carnegie franchise
That's
here
so
in St. Louis. And it was a nice place, great place to have a open workshop and have people come in. You could have coffee and rolls and everything. So it was really good. But I met a guy named Mark Norman. And do you recognize that name at all,
Yep,
Jamie?
I know him. Yep, I know Mark.
Okay. Mark's a good guy. Mark is a very good guy. I still talk to him every now and then. But Mark said, dude, you know what? You would be a shoe-in for this company that I found has done some personalized sales training. And it was outsell consulting. Right.
Oh.
So anyway, I called Brian Lowry, and Brian was like, I ain't buying it. I'm sorry, kid. You're not good enough to do this, right? So I went, yeah, right. And I kept pestering him um, to hire me. And finally, one day, well, I ended up, by the way, just an FYI, I went to a January meeting in Redondo Beach. I paid my airfare, I paid my hotel, I did everything, and I met with those guys at Outsell. And I thought, because I'd done all these priority management workshops, I thought I was pretty hot stuff.
Sure.
So I got in there, and every speaker that went before me,
It was
I,
great.
I was like, yeah, they were like, and I was like, oh my God. So I
They were like
realized
just coming and they were just speaking, like doing a keynote, or were they like, what were they doing that they like, what was it?
it was, well, they would do introductions, they might do some stories. You remember
Okay.
Bob Coakley,
Yep. Uh-huh. So, yep. Uh-huh.
and you remember Kent McDougall.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So those guys were all in the room. And when they stood up, everybody had been Dale Carnegie trained.
Mm.
And it was actually, Outsell was run at that time by a guy named Mike St. Lawrence.
Yep. I know Mike. Yep.
Okay. So you know all these guys.
Yep.
So um
You
I
were you
did,
were actually you were moving into the larger pond, so to speak.
well, yeah, and so to speak. So much better, much higher skill level than I had. I thought I was pretty good till I saw those guys and I was like, holy cow, I need a lot of work. So I'll tell you one of the conversations I had, Mike St. Lawrence, when I first started, my first assignment was the AOL was one of our largest clients.
Still got him, baby. Still got him.
Yeah, he still uses AOL, my dad. It's still his email is
It's
AOL.
still a thing, right?
Yep.
But they
Like
were
Stop it. Stop it.
I remember Jack Bauer on the old TV show 24.
Oh
When,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
doing those technology things. But it was he Michael St. Lawrence caught me in a parking lot and I was really down. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. I'm never going to learn this stuff. Because they were just so competent and so professional. And, I mean, they had it down to the minute as to what that session would look like. So, and they knew how, and you know all of this from facilitation.
Yeah.
Facilitation techniques were like, and they still are incredible. I still use a
Yeah.
lot of their stuff. Make a long story short, Mike comes up to me, puts his arm around me in the parking lot, and he says, let me tell you what. He said, you're going to be okay. He said, but it's a really steep hill for you
Mm.
to climb. And he was right. He was right. But I hung with it. Um, so the next 18 years I spent working for Outsell.
What happened to the franchise? Did you drop it or sell it?
I ended up selling it in 97 to a lady who worked for me, a woman named Catherine Noonan. And I sold it to her for a song. It was not much at all. I never, Dan, I never made as much money when I had the priority management franchise as I did in corporate. So, and I had, I mentioned 3M, but I had other corporate experience. I worked for Xerox, I worked for Sprint,
It's a
um,
biggie, sure.
ADP, right? ADP was a hard learning curve. That was the first time I ever got fired. Was
Oh, for
it
what?
insubordination? No, I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you.
He
It,
drop kicked his manager, that's all.
yeah, well, if you play in corporate long enough, eventually somebody puts a target on your
Oh,
back.
sure.
Yeah.
And um, ADP was a good training ground for me back in the day. And it really helped me understand because it's a payroll business and the salespeople were selling payroll. But what it enabled me to do is to become a bank marketing manager, which was to get referrals from banks and CPAs for clients who needed payroll services. And then we had salespeople that would go out, but I mostly handled the marketing function. And there's a lot of stories that could go with that, Jamie, just FYI.
I bet. I
We
bet.
like the juicy story. The juicier the
Yeah.
better.
A
Yeah.
Come on,
lot of
give us one. Give us one crazy one.
a crazy one. So so they make me the marketing manager at ADP. And we have a conference room, and at the time, so check this out. This is really bad. At the time, I had a team of account execs, district managers. So I had a team of probably 8 or 10 people, and all of us would go and have cocktails after work, much as we did with the University of Phoenix.
Right.
Only by that time, we were pretty well mannered. Um,
It was a business expense then, wasn't it?
well, yeah. So I went out, I went to the local supermarket and bought bottles of booze and
Mm.
plastic glasses
All
and got a
right.
couple of bags of ice, and I brought them into the conference room for the meeting. This is after work hours,
Hmm.
Okay.
but that was kind of the beginning of the end of APD. So it was like, man, you really overstepped your bounds. And there was a female vice president who was like, oh my God.
Dragon Lady?
I'm sorry.
Dragon
Dragon
Lady.
Lady?
What does that mean?
I say Dragon Lady.
What does that
Oh,
mean?
maybe a little bit.
Just
Well,
kind of,
it
it's
was,
like a
it was
hatchet. In HR, they're called the hatchet woman. Who knows?
Oh,
I
Make this
made
up.
I got to tell you guys, I made so many mistakes in my life. That was a really big mistake to bring that in.
But
Uh,
did everybody enjoy a drink though? Everyone drank?
yeah, everyone, of course,
Was she there? Was she
everybody,
there? Was she in
everybody,
attendance?
they were thrilled with me, but the leadership was not so happy with
A
that.
man for the masses.
Yeah. So anyway, that was one of the juicy stories that go with that, but there's probably plenty more than that.
Were you canned right after that?
Um, no, it took a while. It probably took another maybe year,
Hmm,
year and a half. The other thing about that was that I was working with CPAs and bankers to
sure.
get leads, and that was all relationship building. To just get leads for the salespeople and then have them actually go out and sell that. But it gave me a good opportunity to work on relationship and personal skills, stuff like that.
But it's
So
interesting because that I think has been the thread of everything that you've done, right? Like you've learned from the very beginning of, working and working your way into a leadership role and wanting to be in leadership. All of that happened, like you said, right time, right place. But I really believe that it's your relationship building skills that have gotten you from the 3M role all the way through everything outside and back and down and around and curving around this side. And then even getting the role, in the consulting at first with Outsell, like it was that relationship that you kept following up and you were persistent and you were showing that you were dedicated. And all of that has led you to today coaching people to do those same exact things, right?
yeah, it's really interesting. And you know for a fact too, Jamie, probably better than most, that everybody today thinks they're a coach.
Yeah.
Mm.
But nobody, at least most of the people who are coaches today, have never really sold anything,
Yeah.
right? It's all smoke and mirrors. And it's like LinkedIn is a great resource, yet it still tends to be pretty self-serving, right?
Mm.
So and I was posting for a while all the time on LinkedIn. I just chose not to do so much these days, but I may circle back and do that. At
Well,
any rate,
the thing is that like I think there's so many, different types of coaches out there, right? And I remember when some person asked me one time, "Oh, are you a life coach?" And I was like, "Have you seen my life?" But no, it's like I think it's you coach in a space like they always say, are the best players the best coaches? No, but I believe the best coaches understand the game and have done the game and have been there and do it well, or they did it in a way where they understood it so well, right? So, like, I've sold, I choose not to do sales coaching anymore. I do leadership coaching because I've also led and I've worked with teams on leading. But what happens there is that, like, through leadership coaching, people say, you know what? Because I always say what I'm teaching you is not about showing up and being a leader only when you're at your office 8 to 5. It's about, listen, it's leadership to me is an attitude, not a role or a title. And I think the same thing with you is that when you are coaching people on how to sell even better or to get there, it's because you understand not about selling, but about relationships. And so you're really coaching them about building relationships. My dad was number one salesperson in real estate for, gosh, my whole life. But knowing both of you very well, obviously I know my dad much better. But when I watch the two of you, it's the relationships that you've built that have created that path for success forward.
yeah,
And that's what you're coaching people on now, right? That's where you're at, your space is at now.
yeah. I'm actually since 2015, I've been away from Outsell, even though I've done a couple of gigs with those guys every year. I do a couple of things. I had a big client last year with FedEx, which was a lot of Zoom classes, 60, 70 people in a Zoom class.
Oh my gosh.
Think about that.
It's funny. So anytime that my daughter sees the FedEx logo, she does not say FedEx. She says, "Mommy, look, the arrow and the spoon."
That is a great insight. That
We
was
worked on it.
Kent McDougal, who really came up with that back in
Oh,
the day. Back in the day.
wow. I love it. I've stolen it.
Good. Still, copy.
Talent borrows, genius steals, right?
Well, he used to call it case, copy and steal everything.
Yep. Hmm. Well,
So,
so what are you doing now? Tell us a little bit about how that has made a full circle to what you're doing now.
well, first of all, I'm still doing martial arts, obviously. So that was the entree to selling to begin with. I am still, I have, I don't know if you remember Jim Eichhoff.
Mm-mm.
Jim Eichhoff when we were at University of Phoenix, he ran the NAIT group, NAIT. It was implementation. It was implementation. But he is the CEO of a company called Creative Dining. And he's been a client of mine for the past probably 4 or 5 years. And there's some other stuff, but I'm looking probably for another two or three clients that I really like and want to work with, as opposed to I need the money or I need whatever.
Is that sales training or sales coaching or what type of
A
like
little
who
bit
are
of both. It can bleed over. Like customer service, sales, very similar. The
Sure.
coaching model is exactly the same as the six-step sales model that we had at Outsell, right?
yeah.
Pre-call planning, build rapport, discovery,
Yeah.
solution, address concerns, close, right? All of
Yeah.
those steps are exactly the same when you coach people or you coach groups. So I asked Mike St. Lawrence one time, I said, what makes a really good coach? And he said, they care.
Mm-hmm.
And he was spot on, right? So,
Yeah.
and people know that if you're really sincere, if you're really genuine and you really care about them and helping them, I think that makes a huge difference.
100%. That's what I said at the very beginning of this call is that your authenticity and your like your love for what you do and your connection with humans, other humans is just amazing. And I think it goes, and well, that's why you are where you are today, I'm just curious, if someone's listening, they're thinking, hey, I'm in a place where I could use a real coach to help me. What would be like your tip that you'd be willing to share with somebody that you're like, hey, listen, if you just start here, you'll see a difference. And then obviously leave them hungry for more from
You mean you want a freebie? Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And then hungry for more. But I'm sure it's not, I mean, listen, he's been around for a long time, but I'm just saying that like what would be something that, like the biggest mistake that you noticed, like what kind of thing would you say, like either someone's biggest mistake they're making or one thing they can do to see a difference right away? Something that would be like, yes, I need to talk to them.
Can I give the George Burns philosophy in one sentence?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Once you learn to fake sincerity, everything else is easy.
Really,
Uh,
Dad?
Sorry
Really?
about that.
Okay, enough with you. And now back to Dennis.
No, that's good. I frequently quote Woody Allen, 80% of life is just showing up, right? But and Woody Allen's not the best guy to quote, believe me. But at the same time, that's kind of pretty true. As far as what advice I would give to somebody who's just starting out in sales or trying to get good at it, I would say first of all, you are the sum of all the people you surround yourself with.
Mm,
So, and right now, for example, I'm kind of limited because I'm not out and about like I was. Um, so I communicate a lot with my sons, two boys, my daughter, my wife. Um, it's but it's not the same as being out in the trenches like every day or mingling and working. By the way, too, Jamie, I really admire and respect what you do with the community
oh, thank you.
and doing the kinds of things that don't necessarily make you money, but really help. And really, when I think of outsell, I think of uh, and this is purely concept, but I think it was about making the world a better place. And I think you do that, honestly. So I'm flattered to know you and I'm very happy for your success. And I would bet there's a lot more success to come.
I
So
appreciate
Here,
that.
here.
What is next for you? Like, listen, you've led such a full life. You're looking for even more like coaching clients. I'm just curious, like what's on your like list of like something you want to do for you? Like what you've done karate, you've done taekwondo, you've trained for years, you've worked at just about every major corporation. Then you also worked on your own. You've had your own company, your own franchise. I mean, like I'm exhausted and I'm not even done half those things.
I
So
don't think there's anything else. No.
yeah, right? Like what's next for
He
you?
needs to set up an AI app, at least for the basics.
Yeah, well, I think I think two things when I think about themes. It's always about learning, number one. In Korea, they have three kind of themes. One is Busul, which is technique. The second one is Budo, way of life, and the third is Buha, which is continuous improvement. And I think anybody, especially in today's world, anybody who doesn't grow and try to get better at whatever they're doing is going to be obsolete. I think you have to continually learn. I think intentional learning and intentional thinking on purpose, really. And I teach clients to do that. I have a client here that was so scattered. One of those. He's a crazy maker, much like Jason. I can't remember Jason's last name, but he was a crazy maker. It was like he would come to me with 50 or 60 things to do, and you would leave being stressed. I also believe, Jamie, that you're an energy giver as opposed to an energy taker. And the difference is that when people talk to you and they walk away, they feel better than they did when they came in. At the same time, we all know energy takers, right? An energy taker is somebody you walk away feeling like, oh man, right? You feel depleted instead of
Yeah.
full of energy, right? So you got two different groups, but you're definitely in the energy giver space.
As are you, my friend. And I am so grateful that you took time out of your day today to connect with us and tell us about your path and how you've gotten to where you are. And I'm just so grateful to having you as a person in my life and being part of like that people I surround me with. So thank you for being with us today. We appreciate you.
It's a two-way street, Jamie. Thank you. And, I wandered probably through the conversation. I tried to actually, I thought about the questions you might ask me,
Oh,
and, pre-call planning.
did we get to any of them?
I don't think that we may have hit
He
some.
was ready. He was ready for anything.
We're so unpredictable.
Yeah. It's, but I hope it was a good conversation. I don't know that it was. I hope maybe somebody will take something away from it. And
No, we're so grateful. I think just think it's cool. It's that like you realize like sometimes the goal of this podcast is to share different stories because sometimes people feel like they're just in it and they don't know like what's next, like where are we going at? And I think every story that we've talked to people about is that they were in it, but they went somewhere else that they could have never imagined that they went. Like when you were 14 years old trying to, go in for martial arts at that time, would you ever realize that so many years later you'd still be practicing? You didn't even think about that. It wasn't even part of your like thought process, right? Or did you ever think you'd end up doing what you're doing today? I mean, if you would have asked me 20 years ago, would I be doing what I'm doing today? I would have been like, I mean, I'm kind of in the same space, but not a little different, Yes, that's a bad example. Like 30 years ago. I mean, I've been doing
And
this for 20
Dennis,
years.
I never once asked you to talk about your UFO experience.
His UFO experience. Have you ever had
Yes.
a UFO experience, Dennis?
are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yes. Are
No,
you Dennis?
no,
Never? Well,
no.
the problem is you've never looked up.
Maybe on a pickleball cart I did, but
Do you play?
no.
Oh, yeah. He's like, yeah. Oh my goodness. Well,
I have neighbors that are obsessed with it, and
oh,
it's apparently a really good game, I guess.
Yeah, see, play for fun.
yeah.
Yeah. And I obviously I'm looking at your hat,
Yes,
Stan.
play for life.
That's all right. I love it that I love it that you're young and active and you're still working at it. That's good.
You got to keep moving, brother.
That's encouraging. You're a model for other folks too. That makes a big difference.
Jamie, you hear that? I'm a model.
I did. And he's got a birthday coming up. Well, he would have had a birthday, but by the time this airs, but yeah, so he and my dad has just always been like active. And I think that's what's kept him, just mentally there. Well, I guess he's not always mentally there. I'm going to stop talking.
You know, way too, I'll compliment you. You have Jamie, and I don't know if you have any others besides Candace.
Two other daughters.
Yeah,
Jamie, of course,
Yep.
of course, is the middle child.
Okay, I've met Candace, and I know
Sure.
Jamie. You've done a great job
Thank you.
bringing those guys up. The other thing that I really admire is that you've got a sense of humor, girl. You are
Oh.
so good at that. That's good.
You have no idea.
Encouragement, sense of humor, making the
And
world a better
she
place.
teaches a great yoga laughing course also.
I
Yeah.
bet.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna do that. Eventually, we're gonna do a yoga laughing course. Yeah.
Are you going to do anything online?
I've toyed with it. I just had this conversation with someone today. They're like talking about why do you have an online course? And for me, you talk about energy givers and energy takers. I think that online is an energy taker for me. I like to be in the room. I like to be able to give someone a hug because I can feel that they need it in the moment. Or I
Yeah.
like to be able to just like to look at somebody and for them to feel to give my energy to them because I know that they need it, right? And so when you're in these boxes like this, that's why, a lot of times when I do some facilitation or training for other ethnicities and other parts of the world, they're very much prone to having their cameras off. And there's nothing like you were talking about having 60 people in the room for a FedEx on Zoom, but imagine having 60 people in the room for a session at 3 a.m. about leadership connection and all the cameras being off and it's just you,
That's
right?
not
And
good.
connecting. And it's like, holy, so it sucks my energy out because I'm trying to give so much. But when I'm in the room with people, that's where I feel like I shine. I feel like and listen, I don't do what I do to be a millionaire because if I was, I'd be out there putting all these platforms online and doing, I'd be monetizing my business in a way that money was the
Objective.
goal, but the objective, but it's not that way for me. Mine is really about that human connection and I like to be in the room. Do I still do virtual sessions? Yes, I will because they're a necessity. But if I can make it work to where I'm in the room with people, then that is my jam. That is just where I feel like the most magical moments
And
happen.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. Phone therapy does work.
Phone
Seriously.
therapy?
Yeah, a lot of therapists are working by phone now. It does. It's very effective.
Yeah, I don't do therapy though.
Well, in a manner of speaking, you do.
No, I know. I just feel like so many people, like I'll tell you, when I do a class and I can see afterwards that someone will stay and I'll just walk over and I'll say, hey, can I just give you a hug? And they'll say, you know what? I haven't had one in a really long time. Yes.
Mm.
Can't do that over the phone. You can't do that
That's
with the
true.
internet. And I think that, I was trying to explain we were in an airport recently and I was trying to explain to my daughter that we're going somewhere fun. We're in the airport, we're going somewhere fun. It's amazing, but everybody in the airport has a different story. And some people are going to visit somebody because someone's no longer part of their family, or they're going to a wedding or like a funeral or a graduation or for work. Like everyone's got different emotions going on. And when we are doing stuff virtually, we don't get to feel all that. And I'm very much an empath. And so I said to her, it's so important that we just see people and that we notice when someone needs a hug or a smile or, whatever they need, or if they don't
Yeah.
need a hug, we need to back away. And I just feel like you don't feel that as much when you're in this.
Boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listener,
How
you
did
can't
you?
see it. I'm miming. That should be an incentive to go watch us on YouTube as well, too.
It's very clear that over the years, you certainly now deserve the honorary title of Dr. Klemp.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And I have been called that occasionally. Um, but it is, and I'll tell you too, Jamie, it's interesting. Just a final thought on this is Mike St. Lawrence talked to me this is a couple of years ago, and he said the magic of what we do lies in the very simple human behaviors.
Yeah.
Like how good is your handshake? How genuine is your smile? How empathetic you are genuinely. And the people who do the best, in my experience, whether they're top performers or they're just good people, I think nobody comes in to do a bad job.
Sure.
I think they come in to do a good job, but the people who are usually at the top of the rankings or whatever are typically genuine.
Yeah.
They're sincere. They're eager to help, and they're eager to help somebody else get where they want to go.
Mhm.
So that's kind of my take on it.
I love that.
Here,
Thank you
here.
so much for sharing, Dennis. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for
Hey,
being here.
no, I loved the conversation. It was way too one-sided though. I think I need to reschedule and do something with you.
Well, next time, can we hear your ki next time?
Can you hear my ki?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My ki is I have the best ki in the dojo, I can tell you.
Oh, are we gonna
Oh,
hear? Are we gonna end with that? Like, let's end with that. I think that would be like amazing. Let's. Are you
they
comfortable
say
with
going
that?
out on a high note, that's perfect.
I think I would disturb.
No, 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 no.
I live
Then
in a
Jimmy can
country-
fade to black.
You know what? Maybe I'll save that for the next time, Stan.
Oh, come on. It would be like our highlight reel. Like we'll use that as the video to come and watch. Like,
We have his commitment. His commitment is on file.
all right, there we go. Thank you so much, Dennis.
Thanks,
I
Dennis.
appreciate you sending love your way. Happy everything to you, and we'll connect again soon.
Good. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving too.
Thank
Excellent.
you. Thanks, Dennis. We appreciate you.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Jamie.
Bye.
Take care. Have a great day, Stan.
Thank you.
And behave yourself, Stan.
Don't push it.
Bye, Dennis.
Yeah.
I'll drink to that.
Oh, goodness gracious, Dad.
I almost get the key. I almost get the key.
I know. So is it always ki, or is it like it's like "Hiya," "Ai," "Ai," like it's all different things?
Well, it's individual to
That's
you.
the PR promo.
Well, unlike your meditation word is usually given to you by your instructor, but a ki is something you want to get all the air out of your lungs. So if you get hit or something itself, you're more solid. You ever see those Shaolin monks? You put a spear on their chest, it doesn't penetrate the skin. Oh,
No.
crazy stuff. Mind-body connection. Someday, folks, are going to put Jamie on the couch, and I'm going to stand on her stomach. It's amazing what we can do. Remember, Jamie, you remind me of
I'll see you on the courts.
you remind me of a man.
Oh, no. I'll see you on the courts, Dad.
Adios, kids. Bye-bye. Till next time. Tune in to What's Your Story with Stanley and Jamie. Hey, thank you for tuning into today's What's Your Story podcast.
To learn more or share your story, go to jamiemarco.com. That's www.jaimemarco.com. And we will see you next time.